Have you ever turned your car's air conditioner all the way up, only to feel warm air coming through the vents? Your first thought is probably, I need more refrigerant. And that's exactly where thousands of drivers make an expensive mistake. Every summer, people spend hundreds of dollars recharging perfectly good AC systems, only to discover a few weeks later that nothing really changed. The truth is, most air conditioning systems don't suddenly stop working overnight. Instead, they slowly lose efficiency because of small problems that almost nobody checks. A clogged filter, a dirty condenser, using the wrong settings, or simple maintenance that takes less than 10 minutes. Ignore these problems long enough, and what could have been a free fix may eventually turn into an expensive repair. Today, I'll show you 9 proven ways to make your car's air conditioner blow colder, cool faster, and last longer without replacing expensive parts. And make sure you stay until the end, because the final tip is one of the easiest maintenance habits you can develop. Yet it's also one of the biggest reasons AC systems fail years earlier than they should. Let's get started. Tip number 1. Replace your cabin air filter before spending money on repairs. If you've never replaced your cabin air filter, there's a good chance your AC isn't the real problem. Imagine trying to breathe through a thick pillow. No matter how healthy your lungs are, you simply can't move enough air. That's exactly what happens when your cabin air filter becomes clogged. Most people don't even know this filter exists. Unlike the engine air filter, it's hidden behind the glove box in most vehicles, quietly collecting dust, pollen, leaves, insects, and road debris every single day. After thousands of miles, what started as a clean white filter can become completely packed with dirt. Here's what happens next. Your evaporator may still be producing cold air, but that cold air now has to squeeze through a wall of debris before reaching the cabin. The result? Weak airflow, longer cooling times, and many drivers mistakenly assume the compressor is failing. In reality, the system may be working perfectly, it just can't move enough air. Fortunately, this is also one of the easiest maintenance jobs on almost any vehicle. Open the glove box, locate the filter housing, slide the old filter out, install a new one in the correct airflow direction. That's it. Most replacement filters cost between $15 and $25, and the entire job usually takes less than 5 minutes. Manufacturers typically recommend replacing it once a year or every 12,000 to 15,000 miles, although dusty environments may require more frequent changes. Before spending hundreds of dollars diagnosing your air conditioner, always inspect the cabin air filter first. You might be surprised how much colder your AC feels afterward. But airflow inside the cabin is only half of the equation. Even if cold air is flowing perfectly, your AC still has another enemy hiding under the hood. Tip number 2. Clean the condenser so your AC can release heat properly. Most drivers never look behind their front grille, and that's exactly why this problem goes unnoticed. Right behind the grille sits the AC condenser. Its job is simple. It removes heat from the refrigerant before that refrigerant travels back into the cabin to produce cold air. Think of it like your home's outdoor AC unit. If it can't release heat, it can't cool efficiently. Every mile you drive throws bugs, dust, leaves, road grime, and tiny stones directly into the condenser's delicate fins. Little by little, airflow becomes restricted. When that happens, the refrigerant stays hotter than it should. The compressor now has to work harder just to achieve the same cooling performance. Eventually, you notice something familiar. Your AC still works, but it doesn't feel nearly as cold as it used to. The solution is surprisingly simple. Wait until the engine has cooled. Open the hood. Locate the condenser directly behind the front grille. Using a regular garden hose with gentle water pressure, rinse debris from the engine side toward the front of the vehicle. Avoid pressure washers. Those thin aluminum fins bend very easily. If insects are stuck between the fins, use a soft brush and plenty of patience. Just a few minutes of cleaning can dramatically improve airflow through the condenser. It's such an easy maintenance task, yet many people skip it for years. A clean condenser doesn't just improve cooling performance, it also reduces unnecessary strain on the compressor. and that can help extend the life of one of the most expensive components in the entire AC system. Now that you've improved airflow outside the car, let's talk about one mistake almost everyone makes inside the car. Ironically, it happens during the hottest days of summer. Tip number 3. Stop cooling an oven. Remove the hot air first. Picture this. Your car has been sitting under the sun for hours. You open the door, and it feels like stepping inside an oven. What's the first thing most people do? They immediately roll up every window, turn the air conditioner to maximum, and wait. Unfortunately, that's actually one of the slowest ways to cool the cabin. Here's why. The air trapped inside your vehicle is often far hotter than the outside air. Instead of asking your AC to cool already hot outdoor air, you're asking it to cool superheated air that's been baking inside a sealed cabin for hours. That's an enormous workload. A much smarter approach takes less than 1 minute. Start the engine, turn the AC to maximum, leave all 4 windows open. Drive normally for about 30 to 60 seconds. As fresh air moves through the cabin, it quickly pushes out much of that trapped heat. Only then should you roll the windows up. Now activate recirculation mode. Instead of fighting oven-like temperatures, your AC is now cooling air that's already significantly cooler. The difference is noticeable almost immediately. Not only does the cabin cool faster, but your compressor doesn't have to work nearly as hard during those critical first minutes. It costs absolutely nothing, requires no tools, and once you try it, you'll probably never cool your car the old way again. But there's another button sitting right beside your climate controls that most drivers misunderstand completely, and using it correctly can make your vents feel dramatically colder. Tip number 4. Use the recirculation button the right way. If I asked you what the most overlooked button on your dashboard is, chances are you wouldn't think about the recirculation button. It's the small icon showing a car with an arrow looping inside it. Most people either leave it on all the time, or never use it at all. Both habits reduce your AC's efficiency. Here's why. When recirculation is off, your air conditioner constantly pulls in fresh air from outside. On a scorching summer day, that outside air could easily be over 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Celsius. Every second, your AC has to cool that hot air from scratch. Now, compare that to using recirculation mode. Instead of cooling extremely hot outside air, your system keeps cooling the air that's already inside the cabin. And since that air has already been cooled once, it takes far less energy to cool it even further. That's why you'll often notice the cabin temperature dropping much faster after pressing that single button. However, there's one mistake many drivers make. If your car has been sitting in direct sunlight for hours, don't activate recirculation immediately. Remember the previous tip. The air trapped inside the cabin is much hotter than the air outside. If you press recirculation too early, you're simply trapping all that heat inside the vehicle. Instead, drive for about 30 to 60 seconds with the windows open. Let the hottest air escape first. Only then should you close the windows and activate recirculation. There's another situation where you shouldn't leave it on forever. During very long drives, especially with several passengers, moisture gradually builds up inside the cabin. Eventually, your windows may begin to fog. If that happens, simply switch back to fresh air mode for a few minutes. Doing this removes excess humidity while keeping the cabin comfortable. The smartest drivers don't leave recirculation permanently on or off. They know exactly when to use it. And that small habit alone can make the air feel dramatically colder without touching a single mechanical component. Now that you're using your AC more efficiently, let's make sure you're not forcing it to fight unnecessary heat before you even start driving. Tip number 5. Reduce the heat before you even start the engine. Imagine asking someone to run a marathon while carrying a heavy backpack. That's exactly what your air conditioner experiences every time your car sits baking under the summer sun. Many drivers think the AC's only job is cooling the cabin, but they rarely consider how much heat they're asking it to remove. On a hot afternoon, the dashboard can exceed 160 degrees Fahrenheit, 70 degrees Celsius. The steering wheel becomes almost impossible to touch. The seats store enormous amounts of heat, and every surface inside the cabin continues releasing that heat long after you start driving. Your AC isn't just cooling the air, it's fighting every hot surface surrounding you. Fortunately, there's a surprisingly simple way to reduce that workload. Whenever possible, park in the shade. Even partial shade can make a noticeable difference after several hours. If shade isn't available, use a quality reflective windshield sunshade. Many people see it as an inconvenience. In reality, it's one of the cheapest ways to improve your AC's performance. Instead of allowing direct sunlight to turn your dashboard into a giant heat radiator, the sunshade reflects much of that energy before it enters the cabin. Another helpful habit is slightly cracking the windows, only if it's safe to do so where you park. Even a very small opening allows trapped hot air to escape instead of building pressure inside the vehicle. When you finally return, your AC starts with a much smaller job. That means faster cooling, less strain on the compressor, lower fuel consumption, greater comfort within minutes. The cooler your cabin starts, the less work your entire AC system has to perform. But what if your AC still isn't blowing truly cold air, even after following every tip so far? Now it's time to look at the heart of the cooling system itself. Tip number 6. Low refrigerant isn't always the real problem. This is probably the biggest misconception surrounding automotive air conditioning. Someone notices their AC isn't as cold as before. Immediately they assume, I just need more refrigerant. Sometimes that's true, but very often, it's only treating the symptom. Your air conditioning system is designed as a sealed system. Unlike engine oil or windshield washer fluid, refrigerant isn't something that's supposed to disappear over time. If the refrigerant level becomes low, there's usually a reason, and that reason is often a leak somewhere in the system. Adding another can of refrigerant without finding the leak is similar to filling a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. It might seem full today, but eventually it empties again. There are several warning signs that refrigerant could be low. Your AC may blow cool air instead of truly cold air, take much longer to cool the cabin, cycle on and off more frequently, lose cooling performance during extremely hot weather. Many auto parts stores sell DIY recharge kits. Some work reasonably well, as long as they include a pressure gauge and you carefully follow the instructions. Adding too much refrigerant can actually reduce cooling performance. Even worse, an overcharged system places unnecessary stress on the compressor, potentially leading to expensive repairs. If you find yourself recharging the system every summer, that's no longer routine maintenance. It's evidence that something isn't sealing properly. At that point, finding and repairing the leak is usually a much smarter investment than repeatedly adding refrigerant year after year. A properly charged system doesn't just cool better, it also operates more efficiently and helps protect every major component inside the AC system. But even a perfectly charged air conditioner can lose performance for one surprising reason. The air itself may no longer be able to pass through the coldest part of the system. And that's exactly what we'll uncover in Part 3, where we'll cover one of the most overlooked maintenance procedures, the compressor belt, and the simple monthly habit that can help your air conditioning last for years longer. Tip number 7. Clean the evaporator before it becomes a bigger problem. By now, you've improved airflow, you've reduced heat inside the cabin, and you've made sure the refrigerant system is working efficiently. But there's one component almost nobody thinks about, because you can't even see it. It's hidden deep inside your dashboard, the evaporator. This is where the magic actually happens. As warm cabin air passes over the evaporator, the refrigerant absorbs its heat, and the air leaving the vents becomes cold. Simple enough. But here's the problem. Every time your AC runs, moisture naturally forms on the evaporator. That's completely normal. However, a cold, damp, dark environment is also the perfect place for mold, mildew, and bacteria to grow. Over time, these contaminants begin covering the evaporator's thin aluminum fins. At first, you probably won't notice anything. Then, one day, you turn on the air conditioner, and you're greeted by a musty smell. A few weeks later, the airflow doesn't seem as strong. Eventually, the air isn't nearly as cold as it used to be. Many people assume the refrigerant is low. Others think the compressor is failing. Sometimes, the evaporator is simply dirty. Fortunately, Cleaning it is much easier than most drivers realize. Most auto parts stores sell foaming evaporator cleaners specifically designed for this job. Depending on your vehicle, you can usually access the evaporator through the cabin air filter housing. The cleaner expands into foam, covering the evaporator fins before gradually dissolving dirt, biological buildup, and residue. After allowing it to sit for the recommended time, reinstall the cabin filter, start the engine, and let the air conditioner run. The cleaner drains away naturally through the evaporator drain tube. The results are often immediate: cleaner airflow, less odor, improved cooling performance, and perhaps most importantly, a healthier cabin environment. If you live somewhere with high humidity, doing this once every year can keep your AC performing like new. But there's another component quietly working every second your AC is running. And if it begins slipping, no amount of refrigerant or cleaning will solve the problem. Tip number 8. Don't ignore the compressor belt. Imagine trying to ride a bicycle while the chain keeps slipping. No matter how hard you pedal, you never transfer full power to the wheels. The same thing can happen inside your engine bay. In many vehicles, the AC compressor is driven by the same serpentine belt that powers the alternator, water pump, and other accessories. If that belt becomes worn, loose, or begins slipping, the compressor simply can't operate as efficiently as it should. One of the earliest warning signs is a squealing noise shortly after starting the engine or switching the AC on. Many drivers ignore it, but that sound is often the belt struggling to maintain proper grip. Open the hood and inspect the belt carefully. Look for small cracks across the ribs, frayed edges, a shiny, glazed surface, or sections where the rubber appears hardened. All of these indicate the belt is approaching the end of its service life. Another quick inspection is checking belt tension. A belt that moves excessively between pulleys may no longer be maintaining the correct pressure. Replacing a worn serpentine belt is far less expensive than replacing a damaged compressor. And remember, that same belt often powers several critical engine components. If it eventually fails completely, you may lose your alternator, power steering, water pump, and air conditioning, all at once. That's why inspecting it during routine maintenance is one of the smartest preventive habits any driver can develop. We've covered airflow, cooling efficiency, refrigerant, and mechanical components. But there's one final habit that almost nobody talks about, even though it can help prevent expensive repairs years down the road. Tip number 9. Run your air conditioner all year long. This may sound strange. Why would anyone use the air conditioner during winter? Because your AC system isn't just responsible for cooling. It's also a sealed mechanical system filled with refrigerant and lubricating oil. Every time the compressor runs, that oil circulates throughout the system, lubricating internal components and keeping rubber seals flexible. When the AC sits unused for months, those seals can gradually dry out. As rubber loses flexibility, small leaks become much more likely. And once refrigerant begins escaping, cooling performance slowly disappears. That's why professional technicians often recommend running the air conditioner for about 10 minutes once every month, even during colder seasons. You don't need cold air blowing directly on you. Simply activate the air conditioner while the heater is running. Most modern vehicles even do this automatically whenever you select the windshield defrost mode. The heater keeps the cabin warm. Meanwhile, the compressor circulates lubricant throughout the entire system. It's one of the easiest maintenance habits you can adopt. It costs absolutely nothing, takes only a few minutes, and it helps protect expensive seals and internal compressor components over the long term. Sometimes, the simplest habits are the ones that save the most money. Conclusion. If there's one thing to remember from today's video, it's this. A weak air conditioner doesn't automatically mean a major repair. In many cases, the biggest improvements come from the simplest maintenance. Replacing a neglected cabin air filter, cleaning a dirty condenser, using recirculation correctly, removing trapped heat before driving, keeping the refrigerant at the proper level, cleaning the evaporator, inspecting the compressor belt, and running the AC regularly, even during winter. None of these steps require replacing the entire system. Yet together, they can dramatically improve cooling performance, reduce strain on expensive components, and extend the life of your air conditioning for years. The next time your AC doesn't feel as cold as it should, don't assume the worst. Start with the simple things first. You might solve the problem in your own driveway and save yourself hundreds of dollars in unnecessary repairs. If you found this guide helpful, let us know which tip surprised you the most. And if you enjoy practical automotive advice that actually helps you save money, don't forget to subscribe. There are plenty more maintenance secrets coming your way. Thanks for watching, stay cool, and we'll see you in the next video.